Hello, one and all, and welcome to Pit Road Productions this wonderful Saturday afternoon/morning if you're in North America, way into the evening and early morning here in Australia. But we are here at Virginia International Raceway for the next round of the Almeida Racing League Season 5. The Spec Racer Fords have brought us some fantastic action over the past month or two, and we've certainly been looking forward to this round in particular. We're racing at Virginia International Raceway, the grand layout of the circuit, one of the longest courses available on iRacing in North America. And bringing it to you live here is myself, Reese Gardner, with Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the commentary box. Zippy, VIR is a challenging enough circuit. How about we add the infield too?
Yeah, go on, mate. I seen it was VIR. I hadn't quite twigged it was the infield as well, and that definitely does make it for a very challenging circuit indeed. Myself, VIR is indeed on the Princess approved track list, Reese, but I got to admit, that inside circuit, there's a lot of blind corners there, and there's a lot of well, yeah, a lot of blind corners, really. Like, it really is challenging. It's one of those sections which I find that you can't push the car too hard because the consequences, if you do, are absolutely catastrophic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially when you get into the infield, a lot of corners that are flowing up and down, following the hills. I've never been able to get a clean lap around that layout of VIR. I am certainly hoping that the majority of the drivers in the field will be able to do that today. But yeah, we've got a very interesting calendar for this series, haven't we, Zippy? VIR, just one of many fantastic venues that are playing host to this.
Absolutely. We started off at Montreal before heading to one of the smaller circuits in the iRacing service, that was Scuba. Sebring was there for round 3, with Watkins Glen being an endurance round for 4. Before going to Autodrome Cars Pace and indeed off to round 5. VAR gets us just over halfway to the season for round 7 with Imola. That's coming up next. It's going to be an absolute belter. Road America gives us another endurance one with Jerez and Winton closing out the season. But Reese, let's have a look here at the race format.
Indeed, so we are going for our 3-race format here today. 15 minutes of open qualifying that the drivers are currently in at the moment, and the first 2 races will be 15 minutes each. Randomized invert for heat race number 2, and it looks like for this round the number is 8, so keep an eye on 8th place in race 1, and going into the feature for 20 minutes. Grid set by heat 2, fixed setup, and no fast repairs, so you're going to have to take very good care of your car out here, especially around a track as brutal as this. We're looking to see some very interesting people right up the top. We've had the likes of Thomas Niemanen making his way more towards the front. He had great potential back at Interlagos, I remember. Unfortunately, unable to really make use of that. Martin Visser topping practice for this event. He sits in P5 in the championship standings, but Edwin Rivera is the one up the top.
Yeah, certainly Ian Joyner as well. No surprise to see him up there as well. And it looks like we've got some people from the other split mixing in. Ladies and gentlemen, there is 2 splits of this series as we have a look through here. Timo Nolte, he's currently there in 3rd. Jeffrey Atkins, he's there in 4th. But having a quick look through, it actually looks like split 2's doing pretty well. Fair play to him. A good mix of the drivers in there. Rich Mises, actually, he's there in P12. Got a good close battle between himself, Adam Meeker, and Brandon Priest. All 3 of those drivers present. Kevin Adrian getting an absolutely fantastic result last week there. He's starting to get himself into the mix as well. We're definitely 2 splits here for the Almeida Academy this season, and I've got to say, it's been an absolute belter.
Certainly has. Quite competitive up the top, especially here in Split 1, which we broadcast live here on Pit Road Productions. So, view into qualifying then. We've just caught this group of drivers as they split off the main circuit into the infield section. So, a good opportunity to see what these drivers are dealing with. Look at the amount of camber that is in that straight. For a second, I thought the camera was angled, like a Dutch angle that you see in films. But no, that's just the lie of the land around here.
It definitely reminds me a little bit of my local circuit race, Atlantic Motorsport Park. It has a lot in common. We've, I guess, got the Canadian version of this track. You see a little bit of the old pit lane there in the background, but definitely I think it's going to upset a few drivers. Well, I don't know if upset is the right word. Certainly upskill, perhaps, a few of these drivers. Don't get me wrong, we drive multiple tracks. We travel all over the planet, ladies and gentlemen, on the iRacing service. And indeed, that is the beautiful of the interwebs. Excellent use of English there, but You know, we're going to be heading into... Thank you, buddy. You know what? The irony is people ask me to speak English, even though the fact I live in Canada, and you just look at them and just give them that quizzical look. But Reese, we're about to get ready for a onboard lap here. And we've got Ilari Arnio, one of the Finland drivers here, who's going to give us that pleasure.
All right, hopefully this is a lap that he commits to. It's going to be a long one because a lap around here takes about 2 minutes and 46 seconds. The start-finish stretch, there's the start line right there past pit exit, and Ilariano brings us into turn 1, braking at about the 2 marker on the way into this horseshoe bend. It's very easy to lose the rear end through there, but sticking tight to the inside, usually the fastest way around here in lower powered cars. Run a little bit wide through this left-hander to set up for NASCAR bend. Hit the apex of the curb and use as much of the exit curb as you can immediately on the brakes for the left hook and into the lower S's. This is a very entertaining part of this racetrack. It's flat out in the Spec Racer Ford. Got to make sure not to induce too much understeer though, or your tires will scrub and you'll just go off. Then we move into the climbing S's, this sort of second sequence of flat-out S-bends up the top of the circuit. You pretty much straight line them flat out in these cars. Then there's maybe a lift or a tap of the brakes here into this left-hander that then descends down into the valley before you climb back up for Oak Tree, one of the most legendary corners on the circuit, where right there on the apex there was an oak tree that stood for many years until unfortunately falling over in a storm. Then what would be the long back straight of Madison Avenue is interrupted by a heavy braking zone here for Mr. Arnio. He will brake into this hairpin coming up, which has an official name, apparently, that I cannot repeat on broadcast. It was quite a revelation when I found out what that corner was called. Yes, it does rhyme with itch, indeed. Flat out into the infield, and then you negotiate this descending S-bend again. You've got to try and make sure that you're looking after the fronts in this section. It can be very easy to over-push the front end of the car, but you will be rewarded with a solid exit on the way out here. This is the most difficult part, in my opinion. You can barely see where you're turning from inside the car through that little chicane there as it dips down. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of drivers pick up off tracks through there. And then coming up to Roller Coaster, just keeping it flat out across the top of these hills and cut across this wide bit of tarmac, set up for the braking zone into Roller Coaster, where we rejoin the main VIR circuit. Get back on the power, maybe balance the brakes, flick it in here to Hogpen, and that will be your last challenge for this lap. The only thing left to do is flick up through the gears and wait for the start-finish line to come. That is a lap of the grand layout of Virginia International Raceway, and what a track it is.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic job there by Ilari Arnio as well. Definitely, this is not a track that I can indeed drive. Not this layout anyway, but I've got to say, qualifying is looking incredibly close right now. Ian Joyner just 0.2 of a second over Edwin Rivera. Sadek Hammock, he's up there as well, and it gets even closer as we head down from about P3 to about P6.
Yes, indeed. It's, for such a long track, there isn't as much of a gulf between the times as I was expecting. Ian Joyner on provisional pole, only, it seems 1.5 tenths ahead of Edwin Rivera. Then there's 6 tenths back to Zdenek Hamak, Thomas Niemanen and Adam Meeker within 2 tenths of him. Philippe Masson just putting in a time there to put himself P10 with 5 minutes to go in this session. So I think with this being a multi-race server, we are going to see a hard cut to the end of qualifying. It may be open qualifying, but I think the fact that it's a heat race session overrides that fact. So if you're wanting to get another lap on the board, you should probably be halfway around your out lap now.
Yeah, definitely, with it being such a long lap, this is definitely the longest lap we've had in the calendar so far. I mean, almost 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. It'd certainly be 3 minutes if I was driving it, but this has really kind of shaken up the order a little bit here. We've got Philip Falcon now, the Canadian driver. He's currently leading the oh my gosh, what they call it, the club class. In the club class, he's currently leading that. And don't get me wrong, Yanis Fiafanopoulos is only 2 places behind him, but first time I've seen Philip Falcon taking a pole here for the club.
Doing quite well. is Philip Falcon, P7 overall. Quite an impressive performance there. Able to put himself, again, 1.5 tenths ahead of Ilariano, as we see a few drivers going for a spot of lawn mowing. There's a lot of turf here at VIR that does need to be taken care of. Oh goodness, it's the 445 of Jan Jančík that's having some trouble there through the infield. But we'll see. Another time come on the board here for Edwin Rivera, I believe we're on board with.
Yes, sir.
If not Zdenek Hamak. So let's see Edwin Rivera come across the line here and see if he can improve on his pole time. Purple in the first sector, and it is a 246.8, looks like, or 246.0, my apologies. That is an improvement. It is a new personal best for Edwin in qualifying, but it does not grant him pole.
Well, it looks like Jonas just going to put in an absolute belter as well. He's just managed to push it into the 245.5 region, ladies and gentlemen. As I say that, Yanis Theophanopoulos has just gone and taken the pole in club class from Philip Falcon. Absolute belter of a lap in the closing stages.
Lovely job from Yanis Theophanopoulos. Puts Philip Falcon back to P9 now, with Rich Meesters putting himself in between both of them, 7th, 8th and 9th overall. Bit of juggling outside the top 10. Manfred Flor sets a new personal best, puts himself P11, and Javier Sobrino will move from 20th to 18th with a 249.2. So plenty of activity going on the timesheets at the moment. We just need to wait and see if there's any further improvements to be made by those behind Ian Joyner. We're not going to be seeing anything more from Adam Mika in P5. He's been in the pits for the last 2.5 minutes and does not have an opportunity to get onto the lap again. But Jacques Coetzee has managed to put a big improvement in. He hadn't set a time, but now he's put himself right into P11.
Yeah, good lap there by Jacques Coetzee. Good to see him moving his way up, and it's good to see some of the original ARA members back as well. Zoltan Zomator, I remember him in pretty much every season we've done race, and it's great to see him not just back, but currently there in P11 in the Premier Class, P13 overall. It's fair to say we've seen this guy improve. You know, he's definitely got better with the Almeida Academy, and we've seen some really great racing from him as well. Don't get me wrong, I think that you have different kinds of drivers, Reach. You get the people who are blisteringly fast on a qualifying lap. You get the guys who have the racecraft, who will go and run through the grid and absolutely dominate there. But then you get the more the sly foxes, ladies and gentlemen, who will go and absolutely obliterate you should there be a pit stop involved.
Yes, indeed. I don't think we will see the opportunity for a pit stop here tonight, but it's worth thinking about for the endurance round coming up at Road America. That is going to be a big factor in the racing today. Big improvement from Stephen Saunders just now, putting himself up to P12 with his first time on the board. Waited a while to do that. And that basically means that we have everyone having set a time in qualifying now. With 1 minute to go, it's just a case of who's going to be able to get to the line before the timer hits 0.
Yeah, certainly Niemann looks like he's in the closing stages of this lap. He's currently in P4. He is indeed making his way down towards the start finish. You can see a little bit of a draft there. I believe that's Martin Visser potentially ahead of him. He's currently in 4th. He did a 246.63. Are we going to see an improvement as the closing stages of this qualifying session comes into play? Martin Visser, though, has moved up into 2nd, and Niemann has followed right behind him there. He goes into 3rd for a 245.89. And Kevin Adrian, yes, indeed, sir. He regains the pole, ladies and gentlemen. He has been absolutely on fire these last few weeks, moves his way up into P8 overall.
That's fantastic. From Rich Meesters, from Kevin Adrian, from Visser, from Niemann. Fantastic performances, as there's no other opportunity for our normal front runners to reclaim any of that. Just count down the last 5 seconds and wave goodbye to everybody, because in just a few moments, there they go. That is qualifying done. And my goodness, what a grid this is going to be for the first race of the day here for the Almeida Racing League. Ian Joyner 2nd in the championship, on pole alongside Martin Visser, with Thomas Niemann and championship leader Edwin Rivera on the 2nd row. Zdenek Hamak and Rich Meesters in 5th and 6th. Our 4th row, Adam Mika and Kevin Adrian, who starts on pole in the club class. Yanis Theophanopoulos and Philip Falcon will round out your top 10. That's your top 3 in club right there together on the grid.
Absolutely fantastic battle in race, but we're going to see P11. It's going to be the Finland driver of Ilari Arnio with Jacques Kutsi alongside him for P12. As we have a look at 13th, Steve Saunders is back, ladies and gentlemen, with Manfred Fort alongside him in 14th. Yan Cheek, he's there in 15th with Zoltan Zomator. We're talking about him just a moment ago. He's there in 16th. Philip Masson, he's going to be there in 17th with Mark Schmoder alongside in 18th. With Andrzej Saboda, he's really been having some good form lately. He's there in 19th with Dominic Sayu closing out your top 20.
Then it's Neil England and Carlos Facania in 21st and 22nd. Javier Sobrino and Colton Howard on your 12th row. And we are going to see Connor Bell start 25th and last on the grid here. Connor Bell, the resident coach here in the server today. We haven't seen anything from any of our other coaches for this round in particular, but Connor Bell is certainly going to represent them well and try his best to work his way up the field and give the students of the Almeida Racing Academy a chance to practice their defense and racecraft against a pro.
Yeah, absolutely. And something we really do encourage here at the Almeida Academy. We want to see you guys going up against people of all calibers, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, who better to go up against than the Almeida Racing Academy coaches? Certainly those drivers are incredibly potent, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, look at Connor Bell, his first race in NASCAR Canada. He doesn't just podium, he wins it, ladies and gentlemen. Absolute belter. Certainly you got to check out the videos here on Swallow Almeida's channel and indeed on Connor Bell's channel as well. They did a brilliant collab video. I've definitely got to get myself back in and watch that again, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a little bit hectic here at Pit Road Productions, but don't get me wrong, if you want to be part of this league, you want to be part of this academy, ladies and gentlemen, you do need to be a member. So if you want to get involved, by all means sign up to swallowalmeida.com.
Indeed. A big thanks to Swelio and the entire crew at the Almeida Racing Academy for bringing us in here to broadcast this series, which we have for the for basically every season so far, and it's been a great privilege to watch this league and the roster of drivers develop. We have drivers here that have been here since that very first broadcast we did at the Almeida Academy, and we've seen a lot of them come in leaps and bounds. I tell you what, though, the decision to go for a full formation lap around a layout this long, we're going to be here a while.
Well, it definitely is a good excuse to take a little bit of a procession, ladies and gentlemen. We see on the back here of the pace car just how keen these guys are to get going, and what an absolutely fantastic field. 25 cars, ladies and gentlemen. And I've got to say, I mean, we talk about development and stuff like that. I do remember racing Rich Meesters a good couple of years back before he was in the ARA, ladies and gentlemen. It's fair to say, in the nicest way, Rich, forgive me for this, but I used to have you pretty much licked. It was often like, okay, this guy, I can deal with this guy. I'm going to get past, and indeed I would. But now, not a chance. Like, I can't even get near this guy. Could I do P6 in this strength of field? Not even close, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to see results, just talk to the drivers. Look in the feedback section of the Almeida Racing Academy Discord. It's there, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe... Was it? Oh my gosh, begins with an M. Mahid Rahman, I believe, went and gained something like 2,500 I rate in just a space of about 6 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, I think Connor Bell would know that a bit better, but it was absolutely insane. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to get faster, this is the tool you're going to need.
Absolutely. A fantastic place to learn, to develop, to become better at iRacing, better at just racing in general. Could even help you in your real-world racing exploits. Well, Virginia International Raceway has not always had this infield detour. This track originally opened in the 1950s alongside Watkins Glen, Road America, and Sebring, the sort of original four of the big sports car racing circuits in the United States, but ended up closing in the 1970s and ended up becoming a forest basically for 30 odd years until it was finally purchased and redeveloped in the late 1990s to become the track we know it as today. As the years wore on, this infield section was added in stages. It used to just be the full loop of the infield, and then connecting roads were built to connect it to the main circuit. which then creates the grand circuit that we see today. And there's a bit of sim racing history to this layout of the track as well. Before, we had driver swaps and the Le Mans circuit and, you know, up to 24-hour races and stuff like that. This grand layout of VIR used to be the scene of the biggest endurance hosted event on iRacing. It was compared to today's endurance events, very small, but it really set the standard for what we end up seeing on iRacing today. So a little bit of a history lesson for you all there as we get ready for the start of this first 15-minute sprint race. Don't forget, it's the top 8 that get inverted for race 2. So Javier Sobrino is going to want to defend that one. Edwin Rivera is certainly going to want to make sure that he moves his way up to the win. But if he does, he will be starting in 8th place. Let's go then as we get ready for the green flag as it flies, and we are away for race number 1. Ian Joyner immediately moving defensive into the first corner here as Visser sees Edwin Rivera get up the inside of him. Rivera gets into Joyner and then moves into Martin Visser. There is damage to the championship leader's front end already.
Yeah, that's definitely not the race start you're looking for. Don't get me wrong, it's a 15-minute race. You've got to get on with it. But now Visser has got himself in the clutches of Rich Meese. You can see him there trying to bide his time a little bit there. And certainly, if you're going to make a pass, that's not going to be the place to do it. That looks like Rivera. It is. Rivera has indeed gone off absolutely catastrophic race here at the start for VIR.
Edwin Rivera has fallen outside of the top 10 now. This is a disastrous round for our championship leader already. He'll just need to survive to the end, but they're going 3 wide with him further back behind this as Visser then has to make way for Philip Falcon moving through into the club class lead. Adam Mika, meanwhile, is descending further and further down the field here. It's caused quite a crush in the field, and it's really helped out Jan Jančík, who's made his way up from 15th to 10th.
Yeah, absolutely belting run from Jančík there, but I've got to say Visser was following a slowdown. Reese, certainly a couple of drivers there picking up yellow flags at the start and absolutely catastrophic in the backfield. But right now, Jacques Coetzee, he's got one view behind him, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Jan Jančík. Jan looks like he's going to try and go for the slipstream, or at least he was. He's got a car right behind him of Edwin Rivera, who we do know has damage. Are we going to see a little bit of lead to tail here? Are we going to see some aggressive moves myself? Look, Jan having to back off there, thought better of it. Fair play to him, but battles happening throughout the field here, and we're only just getting started.
Oh my goodness, this is turning into quite the melee further back here. Manfred Floor with a great rear view of this fight between Steven Saunders and Zoltan Zomotor. Saunders, the car that moves past the 053 there. And now it's basically follow the leader through this infield section. It's very hard to make passes. Connor Bell may be one of the drivers best placed to do it, being the resident coach and all. But you can see how much you need to compromise your line and how narrow the circuit is in this section. There's practically no chance to find your way past here. Looks like a bit of brake application is necessary to get through that left-hander too, but look at the run that Bell has set up there. He'll move up the inside just in time to see some smoke. I think that might be Jančík.
Yeah, Jančík there getting a little bit deep. He's going to have to do a little bit of the lawn mowing there for the groundskeeping there. As you can see in there, rejoining that there basically ends his hard charging run. But saying that hard charger right now, it's got to be Connor Bell. He's up 10 positions indeed. Suelio Almeida may not be present for this race, but his counterpart is, ladies and gentlemen, Connor Bell, the coach. He started at the back of the field in 25th place, already up to P15 and trying to make a move here. He's got Zoltan Zomotor ahead. He's got Mark Schmurder alongside him. Schmurder is absolutely giving the coach a run for his money. It is indeed going to be apprentice versus master who will emerge victorious as Connor Bell now starts on the attack of Zoltan Zomotor.
Yes, indeed. Setting up into NASCAR Bend, taking a slightly wider entry and carrying more speed at the apex, but Zomotor parks it on that apex and forces Bell to go the long way around at left hook. And he manages to sneak up the inside there, uses the curb to rotate the car, and he is through into 14th. Very nicely set up there by the number 25. and he'll continue his fight forward. A little bit further up, Zdenek Hamak and Thomas Nieminen have been exchanging second place a couple of times this lap already, and Kevin Adrian is right behind him, got a front row seat to the battle, and also to Ian Joyner, who's starting to walk away from everybody else.
Yeah, if Joyner can get a little bit of a leg out on these guys, he will absolutely try and run away with it. As you see, Rich Meester sadly not been able to stay with the pack. He's got Theo Panopoulos about a 2-second gap back from him as well. Martin Visser definitely punishing, or getting punished for his yellow flag earlier, having to follow that slowdown here. But right now, this pack very much staying together. I don't think they're going to be able to catch up to Joyner unless they work together. Certainly, Zdenek Hamak, no slouch in the spec forward. As I say that, Nieminen now goes alongside.
Yeah, looks like a little bit deep through that hairpin, whose name we cannot say on the air. Zdenek Hamak with a bit of understeer, but he's managed to maintain the position, and it's so hard to pass in this section that really all that Nieminen and Adrian can do is follow in his wheel tracks and hope for a mistake, hope for the best, and maybe hope that they can get the right exit out of Hogpen, get the slipstream down the start, finish straight, and move into turn one. That's really going to be your best passing opportunity from here on out, aside from the hairpin that shall not be named itself. Rich Meesters up to 5th place, gaining only 1 position on where he started, but that's certainly nothing to sneeze at considering what everyone else in the field has been through. Yanis Theophanopoulos with a bit of an advance up through this field as well, as that's a big slowdown there from Rich Meesters. I think he might have cut the course. I'm not entirely sure, but a little bit of contact is made there with Martin Visser, who moves on through. That was far from ideal for Rich Meesters. I'm not sure where he picked that slowdown up.
Well, a couple of drivers are indeed picking up slowdowns, and this is one of them. Zdenek Hamak has picked up a slowdown, and it indeed has cost him greatly. Nieminen now makes his way by. Kevin Adrian makes his way by. This is the highest position I think we've ever seen Kevin Adrian in. He's up in P3 overall race. Absolutely fantastic. Zdenek Hamak has indeed followed that slowdown. That is now served, but has it cost him? He is now 2 seconds back from the race leaders.
That's a real shame there, and you know, I figured it out for Rich Meesters, that chicane that I mentioned in qualifying where it's so hard to see the way through it. Yeah, Meesters basically went straight on through the grass there, so that's where I think most of the slowdowns are being picked up for this field. Rich, to his credit, has not managed to lose too many positions. He's still in the slipstream of Philip Falcon, and Martin Visser is going to try and skip away from them. Saunders, meanwhile, he's put Zoltan Zomotor a good ways behind him, and now has Manfred Florin, the number 74, up ahead of him, picking up the slipstream through these flat-out S's, which basically form their own straight on this circuit. A little bit wide, coming across the top of the hill. You certainly don't want to run wide there. The curb is actually inside the racing surface there, so you need to be very careful of that. But if you can get the exit right out of Oak Tree, then you will certainly have the luxury of the slipstream down this straight, and that's what Zoltan Zomotor is looking for here. Nice little three-way fight between these three for P12. Zomotor will find his way up the inside here on the brakes. That's, oh my god, that's not good. Something's gone very wrong for Rich Meesters up ahead. Bodywork flying, and a car was around. It was Philip Falcon.
That absolutely huge incident, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a quick look here at the replay. I have a feeling it may have started with Philip Falcon.
Yeah, okay. This is going to be horrible. This is not going to be music to anyone's ears. It was Edwin Rivera that ran into the back of Philip Falcon and triggered that. So far from ideal for our championship leader. I'm not sure what happened. You'll see Falcon's perspective of that. And unfortunately, Rich Meesters gets cleaned up in all of that. I get the feeling that Rivera was just caught out by Philip Falcon braking for the hairpin there.
Yeah, that definitely was an unfortunate incident, multiple casualties involved. But ladies and gentlemen, the good thing about sim racing is indeed nobody got hurt, but definitely detrimental there. Connor Bell able to skip past all of that, probably wondering himself a little bit of what on earth happened there. But right now, things are indeed shaking up a little bit further through the field as Martin Visser looking to try and make a recovery now. He's been great in the spec forward, but Yanis Theophanopoulos, who's currently P2 in the club class, is giving him a run for his money as they go side by side, going down the straight.
Visser keeping the position for now, but Looks like Theophanopoulos is going to be his closest rival thus far. And interesting to note that Visser just set the fastest lap of the race there. Manfred Floor and Stephen Saunders now find themselves at the back of the top 10, and Meesters is still running, albeit with no body work on the front, thanks to that big crash that unfortunately has taken Edwin Rivera out of the race. He just retired, and I don't know if he's... Oh, good. Things are getting very leery in this battle. And, it looks like Rivera is out of the whole event. He says in the text chat, I'm wrecking everyone. Don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. See you guys next time. So our championship leader will not have any points from this round.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to help his championship competition there. But right now, Rich Mies is under a lot of pressure here from the German driver of Mark Schmurder in that number 19. It's fair to say Schmurder, he's got a clean car, but Rich Mies, despite having a mechanically damaged car, is very much under attack, but trying to hold fire as Schmurder tries to go around the outside. That doesn't work. Can he make it there on the inside? He's going to try. Certainly the second part of Oak Tree there is an opportunistic move if you can get the nose in, but not able to get it done. The exit speed will be compromised, but the big thing about these Spec Racer Fords, the slipstream is absolutely massive. But saying that, it's cost him. Andrzej Svoboda is right behind there. It was 2 tenths, is now 1/10 of a second, and indeed Andrzej is bringing a whole posse of cars with him. Jan Jančík, Philip Masson as well, making their moves there, trying to get ahead and move up to P12.
That was Jančík trying to have a look up the inside of Svoboda there as they're side by side ahead. Saunders and Floor slowing each other up through this section and bringing everyone into this fight. Now, these are for the last couple of positions in the top 10, this battle. That was Meesters going wide there, and that's allowed Mark Schmurder through, but I wouldn't go side by side through this section coming up. Everyone's got to try and tiptoe around each other here. Doesn't look like any of them have gotten into the grass and picked up a slowdown, which is good to see, but man, it is an absolute parade of cars here. And the thing that hurts the most for these guys is they're battling for 9th. Pole position for race 2 is going to be 8th place.
Oh dear. Certainly there is indeed a lot on the line. Adam Meek is going to be feeling pretty good about it right now, as long as he can stay and keep it consistent. Don't get me wrong, P8, you start to wonder, okay, it's not a podium, but it will indeed give you the advantage of that invert grid, as right now it looks like Andrzej Svoboda trying to make an attack here. Meester, despite having a damaged car, is doing fantastically, trying to hold on. He's going to fail that slipstream, really compromise on the straight. Look at it. Svoboda goes by, not even a sniff of competition there. Meesters is very much got a damaged vehicle.
Yeah, even in the slipstream, he's losing a lot of pace. You saw how quickly he moved back into line there, because he knows that this being such a short race, it's not worth getting the damage repaired. He's going to fall down to the very back of the field if he does that. He might as well try to hold on to as many positions as he can. Well, up the front of that pack, Mark Schmurder now has only Andrzej Svoboda for company, as it looks like Saunders and Floor are starting to make a bit of a getaway. Masson has been able to hold on to the back of these guys as well. Got a great exit out of the lower S's there, and it looks like Ilariano is going to go for it here on Jan Jančík. That is quite a bit of momentum there, and, well, there's not much Jančík can do in the short term, but maybe if Arnio cuts the course. Oh, bit of a reactive move there by Jančík off the circuit, and now Arnio is back off the circuit as well. Careful on the re-entry. Jančík will hold on to the position, but that could have been a lot worse than it was.
Very much so. What surprised me the most is they did not get a slowdown for that. I felt sure they were going to get penalized. As I say that, Rich Meesters has picked up... No, Jančík has indeed got a slowdown, so that's definitely not worked in his favor. Ilari Arnio, however, able to dodge the stewards on that one, but Jančík's going to really be feeling this going down the back straight. He's going to have to lift, and then Philippe Masson is very much going to be in range.
Yeah, it sucks for Jančík, because he was doing his best to give Ilariano room there, but it's so hard to go side by side through those flat out S's. This track is very much one line fits all through most of its corners. There's Masson, meanwhile, trying to get up the inside of Zoltan Zomotor, but not working in the short term, bringing Javier Sobrino and Ilariano into it nose to tail through the infield. up over the rise and then just lifting. Yeah, I mean, especially if you're following another car, there's no way to tell where the track's going at that point. You're basically driving with your sixth sense.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see as they're going up and over the hill as well, those cars are getting very, very light there. As what's going on with Philip Masson? He just backed right out.
Slow down. That's a slowdown. He went off the track there through the chicane. He picked up the slowdown.
Well, definitely not the line that he was looking for. Let's have a little bit of looking further back here. As it looks like Dominic Sayu now is trying to chase down Carlton Howard as well.
Looks like there's battling going on all the way through the field. These guys fighting for 20th place. We'll flick up the field a bit, though, because Connor Bell has made his way past Adam Mika. Well, actually, no, I think is that Adam Mika pressuring Connor Bell? I'm not entirely sure at this point, but these two are fighting basically over the front row for race 2. Mika, as it stands, has race 2 pole, and with only 20-odd seconds remaining on the session clock, this is going to be the final lap of the race. So I reckon if I'm Adam Mika, I'm not bothering to try and make a move on Connor Bell. I'm staying right where I am. I've got some 10 seconds to the next car behind. There's no need to take any further risks from here. You've got pole for race 2.
Yeah, certainly those two guys have been trading positions a little bit over the last lap or so, but right now these guys are going to be wanting to fight as well. It's Thomas Niemanen and indeed Zdenek Hammock now. I got to say, Niemanen definitely, he's been an absolute legend since he got here. Certainly really caught the attention of the broadcasters when we saw him in a jumpy truck at Hockenheim of all places there. That's where he really started to shine, but it looks like Martin Visser is going to be under attack as well by Kevin Adrian. These two guys going side by side. Now, don't get me wrong, Kevin Adrian does indeed have the lead here for the club class, but ensure he would like to get some extra positions here as Zdenek and Hammock are going at it as well. These two guys fighting multiple battles throughout. Battles happening as well further back in the field there as Mark Schroeder, Andre Svoboda, Jan Janchik and Rich Mises are all still going at it in a four-way fight for P10.
That they are. Hammock versus Niemanen up the front, though. This is where the big battle is at for the first race podium, and confirmed this is the final lap of the race here. The timer has expired, so Ian Joyner, with a lead of up to 4 seconds now, will have it all ahead of him here. An empty racetrack and victory in his hands. For the moment, there might be a bit more racing to think about for the second place fight, or has Niemanen managed to get the gap over Hammock that he needs? It looks like that is the case, but Hogpen can certainly catch you out. All it takes is one mistake through here and you are done. But looks like both of them get through it cleanly. Up ahead, Ian Joyner is going to take victory for race 1 in a dominant fashion. All of the chaos happened behind him, apart from that slight contact from Edwin Rivera. Well, back to the battle for 9th place, and now that I'm thinking about it, if Connor Bell disqualifies himself before the session goes official, he finishes 7th. That's going to move everyone behind him up 1 position, so potentially Mark Schmurder might be our race 2 pole sitter. We'll have to wait and see on that one, or will it be Manfred Floor, who slipstreams past him down the start-finish straight, picking up a little side draft on the way there too. But
I think he got it.
That was so... Yeah, he did. Oh my goodness, that was 400ths of a second or so in between all of them. Janchik. Oh, wow. That is a very spectacular way to end the race there. Quite an eventful one for Janchik, and quite an eventful one for, I'd say, the entire field. Domenico Sayu picking up some damage late on in the running there, finishing P21 in the end. So that will end things there with Ian Joyner, Thomas Niemanen and Zdenek Hammock. Your podium. Visser finishes in 4th place, and then we have Kevin Adrian winning in club with Yanis Theophanopoulos in 6th. Connor Bell does get himself classified P7, and Adam Mika will be classified 8th, so that is pole for race 2 there for Mika. From there on back, they will start where they finished in race 1. Manfred Floor and Mark Schmurder will round out the top 10.
As we have a look there at P11, it's going to be Rich Mises with Andres Svoboda alongside there in P12. Looking back at P13, Yan Cheek there. This could be good for him. This could be a good opportunity to make his way up into the top 10. He's certainly keen to do so alongside Zoltan Zomator, who's definitely no slouch by any means, alongside in P14. Javier Sabrino is going to be there in 15th with Ilari Arneo in 16th. Philippe Masson, definitely a little bit unlucky there for him. Not quite as lucky as Rich Mises was with that big incident there involving Edwin Rivera. He's there in 17th alongside Steve Saunders in 18th. Philip Falcon, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be 19th with Neil England, closing out your top 20.
And Domenico Sayu will start in 21st alongside Carlton Howard, with Carlos Facania and Jacques Coetzee rounding out our 24 cars that we'll take to the start. Edwin Rivera already out for the rest of the event. So that's really unfortunate that we won't see Edwin try to make a charge up through the field here, but regardless, this is going to be another interesting race with Adam Mika starting off the pole. Connor Bell has given himself an end-of-line penalty, so he will move to the back. That is going to promote Zdenek Hamark up to P2, and Yanis Theophanopoulos will start P3 alongside Ian Joyner. So let's see then what we're going to go through in this one. Actually, Joyner should be down in 8th. I'm not sure if that penalty that Bell gave himself has messed up the field order a little bit. That's interesting.
Yeah, certainly. I'm glad I'm not in control of. Well, I'm glad I'm not race control recently. That's a bit too much going on for me, and just make me remember the wonderful Mo Una, ladies and gentlemen, who was very kind enough to bring us a dirt racing series at one point, in which we very much did enjoy, and I did very much have even more sympathy for race control on that occasion. Certainly, if you're looking to get your league broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, reach out to us here at Pit Road Productions. We would be very much happy to have you on board. That we would. Got quite a schedule through the week, but always looking to add more shows. So get in contact and we'll see what we can do for you. Well, we're going to be in it for the long haul once again here, Zippy. Another full formation lap, and we're going to be sitting here for a while. So I guess let's think about big gainers and big losers in the first race. I think Javier Sabrino was one of the hardest chargers in race 1. Started in 23rd, finished 15th in the end. And outside of that, Ilarianio is looking for a bit more out of this. Started 11th and finished 16th in the first race. Yan Cheek was as high as 10th at one point in race 1, but only ended up gaining 2 positions from his starting place of 15th. So those are drivers that I'm going to be watching, see how they go here in the second race. Yeah, that's fair. I've got to be honest, I think Yan Cheek, he's having a good form here today, Reese, and I think as long as he can keep himself cool, calm, and collected, this could be a good result for him. Keep an eye through the field. Kevin Adrian is showing that he is not taken to the grid. That might explain why we've seen some jostling about in the top 10. Adrian is present in the pits. He's sitting in the car. So I think he might have just missed the grid timer, and he'll be starting from pit lane. That's far from ideal for the man who was going to be starting in 4th for this one. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're over the moon. He managed to get a club class win, but I don't think the celebrations will start that early, Kevin. At least go and do it another 2 more times. And tell you what, if he can win the club class 3 times in a row, like win every club class, I will happily buy him a beer. Yeah, absolutely. That seems fair. I know I can do it. Yeah, for sure. I think, this league is so competitive. There's so many drivers wanting that top spot. It's very difficult to get some consistent form going, which is why we've been so impressed with Edwin Rivera so far this season. He's leading the championship because he's been able to get those consistent finishes and pick up points where possible, which makes it even more heartbreaking that he hasn't had a round up to his usual standards here today. Yeah, that's definitely fair. Certainly, you know, consistency is key, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen it before here on Pit Road Productions. We've seen people win championships and never actually win a race. Sometimes even not even podium potentially. It's all about being consistent. To quote Richard Swindells, he may not be fast, but he sure does last, ladies and gentlemen. That indeed can be a winning strategy here for a championship. As we are about to get ready to go green for this second race here at VIR.
All right, Adam Mika leads us away here. He's on the power already, and everyone's catching up behind him immediately. Flipping into the slipstream is Zdenek Hamak. Meanwhile, Ian Joyner side by side with Yanis Theophanopoulos for third place. They fan out too wide on the way into the hairpin. Try and pick your braking point. That's very deep there for Adam Mika, and he goes off at turn 1, missed the breaking point, did our pole sitter, and he will fall outside the top 20, only one corner into the race.
Yeah, that's definitely not what he had in mind, but bad news here for Kevin Adrian. It is showing him as a lap down, ladies and gentlemen, which honestly, that seems a little harsh almost. Like, he didn't do that. If he started from the pits, I don't know why he would be a lap down. It seems...
yeah, I mean, my timing is showing him as on the lead lap, so that might... Yeah, it might sort itself out when they cross the line to start lap 2. We'll have to wait and see on that. But Zdenek Hamak has taken advantage and skipped away to a lead of 3/4 of a second at the moment. Martin Visser, meanwhile, behind Yanis Theophanopoulos. All those guys trying to latch onto the back of Ian Joyner and hopefully join, so to speak, the podium positions. Mark Schmerder, meanwhile, pushing a little hard there over the crest of the hill, but maintaining the spot. Oh, has he gotten a slowdown, or is that... Oh, okay, that is way out in the weeds for Carlton Howard, who started up the back already. Was this contact? Yan Cheek. Oh, okay. He actually managed to hold on to that one. That was impressive there from Yan Cheek. Something happening there to Carlton Howard. Neil England getting spat off the circuit as well. I'm not sure who it was those two made contact with there. Oh. Well, it was a dark blue car.
I got one more for you. Fair play to Jack's Coatsy. He just literally just tried to dodge all of that, and it really was a case of just how much can you dodge. But Rich Meester, something's happening with him as well. He's serving a yellow flag and is down 4 positions as well. Let's go and check in a little bit further up the grid, though. Zoltan Zomator is indeed going out to a battle here with Yan Yanchi. They've got a good bit of a gap behind him to Javier Sobrino. He's currently leading another pack with himself, Steve Saunders and Connor Bell in hot pursuit. Mark Schmerder not that far back with Ilariano and indeed Manfred Floor. All of these guys trying to form one big massive train. If they can stay together, they can indeed stay in contention, as Ian Joyner has gone and taken the race lead.
Certainly has. To the front again for the winner of race 1. I went back to check that incident one more time, and it looks like it was Philippe Masson who was the dark blue car involved in that. But Carlton Howard was ultimately the one who caused that incident. He was the one who made the contact in the first place. Unfortunately, that's resulted in Neil England retiring from the race. Ian Joyner, then, under pressure from Zdenek Hamak. As Mark Schmerder pulls into the pits, he ended up getting a black flag on lap 1, potentially for passing too early before the start-finish line. Not entirely sure how he picked that up. Maybe he exceeded the incident limit on lap 1, which I guess isn't too far-fetched for how chaotic that first lap was.
Ooh.
Steve Saunders getting into the top 10 and managing to just hold off the advances of Javier Sobrino, who's continuing his climb up through this field that started all the way back in race 1.
Yeah, fair play to him, but now he's going to have another competition here. It's going to be Ilari Arneo looking to try and make his move up there. As I say that, it looks like Manfred Floor's getting in the action as well. Yeah, because Ilari Arneo is serving a slowdown, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to absolutely be detrimental. You can already see there, 1 position, 2 position. It's going to be 3 positions, ladies and gentlemen. No, he is back on the gas. He's going to try and hold on, but the thing is with the iRacing slowdowns, it doesn't care where you are on the track. You have to serve that time and serve it promptly. Absolutely catastrophic here. As you see here, Jan Yanchi going side by side here with Andre Saboda and Zoltan Zomator in hot pursuit.
Looks like Yanchik made that move around the outside of Oak Tree to get into 6th, and Zomator
door closed.
Not entirely sure. Yeah, not entirely sure which way to go there on Andre Svoboda. But Svoboda Oh, okay, he's going to let them both go there. It looks like Zomotor will keep the position, and Jančík with a bit of a slide through the hairpin. That is a big slide for Jan Jančík, and this is the part of the circuit where it's the most difficult to run side by side. He has the inside for the next corner, and he's going to get it. That's the issue with running side by side. Your car on the outside, then you're going to suffer, and Zoltán Zomotor ends up under pressure from Svoboda and Conor Bell, who's worked his way up to P9. Oh my lord, that was very close to contact there between Zomotor and Svoboda. And Bell is trying everything he can, getting onto the grass to try and get the run here on Svoboda.
Yeah, you can just see a little bit of gently does it, to quote my comrade Reese Gardner. Gently does it indeed as he gets an absolutely fantastic exit, puts it up on the inside of the right-hander, and indeed that is going to be position turn. Andrzej Svoboda falls back there into line. Zoltán Zomotor going to be next on the chopping block. Now, we know that Conor Bell did indeed start from the back. He's managed to make his way up to P8, ladies and gentlemen, but let's head a little bit further forward here as Yanis Fiapanopoulos and Martin Visser are going side by side here for P4.
It looks like Visser getting the run out of Hogpen, and he's going to extend that gap over Yanis on the way into turn 1. Fastest lap so far for Ian Joyner, and here's something for you, Zippy, as Hamak runs deep in the first corner there, and Nieminen will move through into P2. That's pretty significant there. I'm not sure what happened to Zdenek Hamak, but it just goes to show how many drivers have been getting off tracks here. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 8 drivers of the 24 currently have a valid best lap time. Everyone else has not gotten a clean lap yet.
Yeah, certainly a few drivers have indeed picked up slowdowns, and that's exactly what happened to Zdenek Hamak. As here we return to a battle here for P15, P14, and indeed P16, I guess, ladies and gentlemen. We got a four-car quartet, ladies and gentlemen, all the way back to Philippe Masson here, and it looks like Jacques Coetzee is only a second behind him here, but this is where being the back of the train could indeed be advantageous, ladies and gentlemen. As Rich Meeses now, it's a brave place to make a pass, and you can do it, but certainly a little high risk there as he makes his way past Alari Arnia. Now, if Philippe Masson can stay in that draft after Oak Tree, he could potentially slingshot not just one, but even 2 of these drivers there as Alari Arnio touches into the grass. We're going to see him move on the inside. No, not yet there. Philippe Masson holding back right now.
Yeah, I think especially through that corner, the right-hander before Oak Tree, that's one of the places where the Spec Racer Ford's wayward rear-end behavior really shows. It's a car that's very pointy, likes to slide the rear end, so you need to be careful on entering a lot of these corners, and especially the high-speed ones where you're braking on the way through. Oh, that's a bit of a lock-up ahead. Meester's trying to cut underneath Adam Mika, but it's not happening for the moment, and Philippe Masson now under pressure from Ilari Arnio in the background there. Can Ilari go for the move here at the top of the hill? He pokes the nose in, but Masson holds strong. God, it's hard to pronounce French names and speak English at the same time sometimes, but Philippe Masson manages to hold off Ilari Arnio, and Jacques Coetzee is now well and truly a part of this train.
Yeah, it's very much so. The more they battle, the more they open up the door there for Jacques Coetzee, and he closes in from a second to about 4/10 of a second now. Something's happened with Carlos Bacana. He has indeed had a little bit of an incident there. He's currently moved back down to P22 as we head a little bit back further up to the grid here. Andrzej Svoboda is currently getting in the battle here with Zoltán Zomotor and indeed Steve Saunders right behind him.
A battle for the back half of the top 10. Zomotor leading the train here. Jan Jančík and Conor Bell up ahead. That's off the circuit there for, I think that's Manfred Flor. And now Javier Sobrino will see an opportunity arise here at turn 1. Let's see what he can do. Isn't able to close the gap for turn 1, but they're going 3 wide for P8. And that's going to be Saunders winning the fight into turn 1. Zomotor up the inside of Svoboda, and the cutback there, as that's Saunders that ran wide there. He's fallen right back behind them. That's all it takes. You push a little bit too hard through these corners, and the rest of them are going to get you.
Yeah, the grip definitely not evenly balanced across the whole surface of the track, ladies and gentlemen. There is parts that have definitely got a little bit more rubber down, and these drivers are able to get a bit more grip, a bit more traction there. But Steve Saunders is very much in this battle still. The UK driver, ladies and gentlemen, he's currently there in P10. He's up 8 positions from where he started. And if we got that invert grid again, do we have an invert for the last one, Reese?
I don't believe we do.
I don't think we did either. We're going to say you definitely want to finish up as high as you possibly can here, as Connor Bell now is going to be going at it with Jan Jančić.
Here we go then. This is one of the... Oh! Jančić protecting the inside there, but he runs deep and Bell sneaks up the inside at Oak Tree. Jančić gives him room to the inside, but Jančić has made moves around the outside of Oak Tree before. He carries that momentum there. This is a pretty superstar performance from Jan Jančić at the moment. This is some of the highest positions we've ever seen him run in. And he is going toe-to-toe with the coach here, coming into the corner that shall not be named. Bell completes the move up the inside, but I'm sure Jančić is going to do his best to stick with him here, because if there's anywhere Connor Bell's going to go, it's forwards. There's only 3.5 seconds up to the next group of cars.
Yeah, certainly, and I got to admit, Connor Bell there doing exactly the move I was talking about earlier, Reese. You can put it in the second part of Oak Tree, and myself, last time I did that was in a 911 Cup car, and it definitely, it scared a few people, but hey, if the door's open, I'm going to walk through it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to head back, though, to this battle here for P12. Rich Meesters in pursuit, Philip Falcon in pursuit, and then we not only that, we got more battles a little bit further back. Philip Masson, Ilariano, and Jacques Guzzi are indeed starting to come together as well.
All right. Absolutely scrapping for the lower places here at the moment. Masson, Arnio and Kurtzi starting to make some kind of gain forward to Falcon, Meesters, Mika and Sabrino up ahead. But not much of a gain to be made in the short term in this section. Need to nail the exit from hog pen for that one. Svoboda apparently with an issue. Yeah, he ran too deep into the hairpin there and caught the grass on the outside. Fortunately, the cars around him avoided him and he managed to get out of the way a little more there. But that's not ideal for Andrei Svoboda. Mark Schmerder has visited the pits once this race for a black flag, and it looks like things have only gotten worse for the German in the number 19.
Yeah, definitely a little bit unfortunate there, but we are going to return to this battle here because Jacques Guzzi make an absolutely fantastic move here. He's currently up 7 positions from where he started in comparison to 1 apiece for Ilariano and indeed Philippe Masson. But can he find his way up into P15? He sees the opportunity ahead of him, the driver up to 22, but he's got to leapfrog 2 of his fellow students if he wants to make it there.
Yeah, well, Jacques Guzzi certainly didn't have the best of race ones. He was class 2 laps down and dead last. So this is some great redemption for him today. Moving up to the battle for P3s, Deneke Mark and Martin Visser scrapping over this one. Thomas Nieminen has managed to gain 1 and a bit seconds on them in the interim, but all it's going to take is one mistake and they will be right there with him. Ian Joyner's just having a cruisy time up the front of this field at the moment. His gap is approaching 3 seconds. Can Visser make his way back onto the podium here? Hamak defensive into the hairpin. And Visser will make sure that if he's going to commit to the inside, he has to squeeze it. But into the corner, Hamak manages to get to the apex first, and Visser was unable to hook it up, but translates it into a great run out of the corner. He could find his way through here. The door opens to the inside, and Martin Visser will consolidate himself there. Deneke Mark realizing that, yeah, there's no point really fighting that, and he'll be able to get Visser back some other place.
Yeah, certainly that door was indeed, it was open for just a split second there. Visser was like, thank you very much, I'll just put my toe in there. He went to shut the door, and indeed the latch was already across there, as it looks like Zdeněk Hamak has indeed picked up a slowdown. That is going to end his battle there with Visser, and indeed the battle for the podium.
That's a shame there for Hamak. Oh, he's still serving it. As Jacques Guzzi apparently has had a problem there, loses the rear end, and he's trying to gather it up. But then, that was contact from behind. Was that Arnio?
I do believe it would have been Reese. Certainly that is not what he had in mind. You can see there, a fair play to him. He held on to that for a little while. I know I certainly couldn't keep control of a spec forward when it gets into that kind of shape, but that's absolutely been detrimental there since the Hamak. Yanis Viapanopoulos now has made his way by, and Connor Bell very much in pursuit as well as we go to the closing stages of this race.
Yep, 1 minute remaining on the clock. This will be the final lap of the race. And Connor Bell will go toe-to-toe with Zdeněk Hamak here. Hamak, though, has the inside out of turn 1. but Bell has set up moves before in this exact fashion here. A little bit narrower into NASCAR bend for Hamak. Bell carries a little more momentum. This time, though, he can't get alongside before left hook. He's going to have to wait for a move through the climbing S's, and he might see two positions beckoning from here, because Yanis Theophanopoulos is there with no slipstream ahead. So this is going to get quite cramped between these three.
Yeah, certainly you look behind here from the car of the Yanis Theophanopoulos. You can see there these two guys are going side by side, wheel to wheel, driver to driver. Indeed, it's going to be the student versus the master, ladies and gentlemen. And Connor Bell has got in there by a nose, ladies and gentlemen. A clean car at that, as it looks like he's got the move done. And there's now not only that, chasing for Yanis Theophanopoulos to make his way up into P4. Are we going to see another move on the inside of Oaktree at the end? No, not quite, but he does indeed stay very much in pursuit. He's in the slipstream, but Zdenek Hammock, this could be an opportunity for him as well with the slipstream in play.
All right, if he can get ahead into the hairpin, he'll be able to hold on to that position the whole way through the infield. Look at the run from Zdenek Hammock. He will have the nose ahead into the hairpin, but up the inside for Connor Bell. He'll get to the apex first, and he'll almost push Hammock wide, gets caught up on the curb, instantly gets on the brakes to arrest momentum there. That's going to be battle over for Zdenek Hammock, and he will almost be passed by Jan Jančík for 6th place. Actually, he will be. Jančík is back up into 6th place and manages to consolidate it there in the infield. Jančík keeping it very clean this race, and it's paying off for him. But now Connor Bell sees a potential podium with Martin Visser still holding on to it. They've left Theophanopoulos behind. And for the moment, there is just another couple of braking zones here into some pretty high-speed corners, it has to be said. Up front, though, Ian Joyner looking to take victory, and Bell doing the move he's done so many times before, but this time Martin Visser is ready for it, and he fights back. Bell might be able to sneak up the inside out of Oaktree, but he'll have to unsettle Visser somehow. That is wide there for Visser, all over the curb for Bell, and he has the inside. Joyner's going to take victory up ahead, but it is side by side for the last spot on the podium. Can Connor Bell sneak ahead of Martin Visser? He certainly can, but the side draft might come in, and Visser might fight back. No! He misses out by just half a car length there, and that was 1/100th of a second between Bell and Visser for 3rd place. Jančík defends from Zdenek Hammock and finishes 6th in the end. A great run up through the field for him. And it's Javier Sobrino finishing just ahead of the recovering Philip Falcon there for 12th and 13th. Can Jacques Coetzee find anything here? Kevin Adrian, who started from the pits, has nothing in a straight line. Can Coetzee sneak past him before the start-finish line? No.
Oh, man, that was some close. That was some close. Martin Visser there having to fall back a little bit there. He served a slowdown right at the end, and that really realistically brought Connor Bell into it and has cost him heavily, ladies and gentlemen. That's cost him a podium, but what an absolutely fantastic race.
Yeah, that was eventful. Really enjoyed that one. Battles everywhere you look, just except for up the front, really. Ian Joyner wins by 2.5 seconds over Thomas Niemanen, and then it was another 5 and a bit seconds back to Connor Bell, who finished in P3. Martin Visser will finish in 4th, with Yanis Theophanopoulos rounding out your top 5. Jan Jančík with some big gains from 13th up to 6th, and Zdenek Hammock fell behind him on the final lap. Steven Saunders up 10 places to finish in 8th. Very impressive run. Zoltan Zumator into 9th, and Manfred Flohr rounding out your top 10.
As we have a look there at P11, it's going to be Adam Meeker, the pole sitter for race 2. He fell back a little bit there with Javier Sobrino in P12. Philip Falcon took 13th with Philippe Masson in 14th. Rich Meesters there in 15th with Dominic Sayu in 16th. And Larry Arneo closely behind in 17th. Andrej Svoboda, he started off so incredibly potent, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly VIR has not been kind to him. He's there in 18th with Kevin Adrian, the big mystery of the day. He's there in 19th with Jacques Coetzee, rounding out your top 20.
In 21st, it was Carlos Facania, and then Mark Schmerder, having visited the pits and unfortunately falling by the wayside later on, has to settle for 22nd. Our last finisher was Carlton Howard. Our sole retirement, Neil England, who was involved in that incident with Howard and Masson early on in the race. Well, time for warm-up, time for a 5-minute break and a breather, but first, a word from Swellio.
If you're a racing driver and you want to reach an advanced level, there's a faster and easier way to become competitive. I've gone from this to this in 5 years. Now, we've created the perfect free driver development guide to help you understand the right order of racing skills to develop if you want to become a competitive driver as quickly as possible. This guide was made after 3,000 hours of combined high-level coaching.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Reese Gardner is indeed, he is a man, and he does indeed have to sneeze, so we'll forgive him for that. But Connor, I got to say, definitely some absolutely beautiful moves here. Mood as well. Beautiful moves. But one thing we are noticing so far from the first two races is that a lot of drivers are picking up slowdowns and indeed off tracks. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Well, fair play to him. Certainly, myself, a big fan of VIR, definitely would struggle with that infield circuit as well. The perks of the Grand Course, and it looks like Reese Gardner has indeed returned. Reese, welcome back.
Decided whether I want to start from the back or fight with Ian and Thomas, so I got about 20 seconds to make the call here.
Yeah, indeed you do. We'll let you go and make that decision then. Thanks for joining us, Connor.
Yeah, thank you.
Connor Bell there, coach at the Almeida Racing Academy, and certainly providing us some great entertainment, scything his way up through the field twice tonight. Will he do it a second time? Remains to be seen whether or not he'll give Ian Joyner the hard race that he's been missing so far tonight. Joyner has been the class of the field thus far.
Yeah, certainly Ian Joyner is indeed a man to mess with, and I do apologise there. I muted the guys during the advert and then forgot to unmute them. So certainly we will have to try and catch up again with Connor Bell at a later date. And indeed, Reese Gardner able to hide that sneeze, or indeed the tease of a sneeze. There you go. There's a new play on words for you, Reese, as these drivers are indeed getting ready to go for a grid.
They are indeed. Well, Ian Joyner, by virtue of winning races 1 and 2 tonight, will be starting on the pole with Martin Visser alongside him. Sorry, my apologies. The timing screen messed up my grid read. It's Nieminen who starts alongside Ian Joyner there. Connor Bell will start in third, it looks like, alongside Martin Visser, with Yanis Theophanopoulos rounding out your top 5, starting alongside Jan Cheek. So that's first and second in club there. That's going to be an interesting one for sure. And if Jan Cheek can stick with this front pack, he'll be on for some of his best ARL results yet. Zdenek Hamak and Steve Saunders on row number 4, and then it's Zoltan Zomator and Manfred Floor rounding out the top 10. They've been hanging around there for a bit tonight. Can they move forward?
Well, certainly they're going to try with Adam Mika there in P11, Javier Sobrino alongside in 12. As we have a look there, 13th is going to be Philip Falcon alongside Philippe Masson. Certainly the two Phils are indeed hanging out on row 7, with Rich Meesters right behind and Dominic Sayu alongside in P15 and 16. Ilari Arne is going to start 17th with Andrej Saboda in 18th. And Kevin Adrian, still not sure what happened to him at the start of race 2. He's there in 19th with Jacques Coetzee closing out your top 20.
Yes, indeed. Carlos Facania, Mark Schmurder, Carlton Howard, and Neil England will round out your field as they make their way through NASCAR Bend on the formation lap here. And now we get into the weeds of this really long formation lap. I think it takes somewhere in the vicinity of 5 minutes to make your way around this place under formation lap conditions, but you can see that the drivers are certainly not afraid to scrub the tires a little bit and heat them up. We haven't checked in on weather conditions since the start of the broadcast here. It looks like we're dealing with a pretty cool track today. 26 degrees Celsius, only 21 air temperature, and it's a bit cloudy as well, so not much sun is hitting the racetrack. That means once those tires get up to temperature, you're going to be having a great time. A lot of grip available.
And indeed, that is the case. Certainly, it's a delicate balancing act, and I think what caught Adam Mika out on the start of the last race was indeed cold tyres. He hadn't been able to get them up to temperature. The car did not behave as he expected it to, and fair play to him. We've all been caught out by cold tyres, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly see some of the drivers there weaving to try and get a little bit of heat in there. Myself, I do wonder just how effective that is. I've always preferred just to you know, kind of run the lap and just, if anything, try and get a little bit of heat in the brakes as well. I do find they take a little bit there to warm up, but with the weaving and stuff like that, I find I make myself feel a little bit sick for one thing, but also as well, I don't know how I could consistently do it. Zoltan Zomator!
Oh!
That is not how you want to start a pace lap.
No, it is not. Zdenek Hamak having to take to the pit lane of the north layout of this circuit, or is it the south? No, it's the south layout. Looks to me like he was weaving and caught the grass. So yeah, I think prescient that we were talking about the merits of weaving there. That's one thing that can go wrong when you decide to weave to warm up the tires. You can catch the grass and spin.
Yeah, definitely, that's one way of doing it, and certainly it may have warmed up the driver a little bit as well. That would have certainly induced a sweat onto me. But thankfully able to recover from that. It's just going to be one of those things that you're going to facepalm now and laugh about later.
Yes, well, we'll see how much Zdenek Hamak is laughing when the green flag drops, because he's one of the drivers who's definitely got top 3 pace here today. He's unfortunately missed out on one potential podium here today with the 7th place finish in race number 2. But 3rd place in race 1. We'll see if he can repeat that and maybe take advantage of any chaos that happens ahead of him. Ian Joyner, Thomas Nieminen will find their way through to the start here very shortly. And Connor Bell looks like has committed to starting the race where he is supposed to by the sim results. He was talking to us about that in the warm-up, which unfortunately you guys weren't able to hear. He was having a bit of a debate as to whether or not to give himself that end of line again, but he has committed, and so I think Ian Joyner might find some pressure for the first time tonight. We'll see how they go as they make their way through Hog Pen and get ready for the start. So Joyner's back to where he was at the start of race 1, leading from the front, and it's up to him when to accelerate and lead us away here as the field forms up behind him. He gets on the power, and we are away. Green flag officially flying for race number 3 here at VIR, the Almeida Racing League. And Connor Bell immediately on the attack. He's up the inside of Nieminen there, coming into turn 1. Can he pull the move off? Oh, Nieminen was angling his car towards the inside, as that is Hamark, who ended up going a bit deep in turn 1, and Manfred Floor is around. So Floor falls all the way to 23rd place and dead last of the cars running at the moment. It looks like Neil England hasn't taken to the start, which is a real shame. Martin Visser will see Yanis Theophanopoulos, his rival for this event, very close to him, and Ian Joyner with the gold car of Connor Bell right behind.
Yeah, it's definitely a view that you do not want, but Zdeněk Hamak has indeed not picked up a yellow flag, but indeed Zomator has. He's got a slowdown, as does Philippe Masson and Ilariano right now. You can see them on the timing tower on the left of your screen.
Picking up some off tracks there in the first lap of the race. Adam Mika up to P10. Javier Sobrino gaining a spot as well, up to P11. Some moves being made meanwhile. Philip Falcon up the inside of Rich Meesters, and he'll get the move done into Oak Tree, but the exit does belong to Meesters as, hello, that's Zomator that's gotten a big slowdown apparently, and has fallen all the way back to 15th place now. That's Domenico Sayu and Ilariano making their way past him, but Arnio has a black flag to his name, has come under some kind of pressure there at the start, as, my goodness, that was Carlos Facania, who completely missed the breaking point for the hairpin, and does rejoin, albeit right in the midst of where Philippe Masson was trying to get out of the corner there.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate now, as it looks like we got another driver picked up a slowdown. It's going to be Adam Mika. Ladies and gentlemen, these guys are not just racing each other, they are indeed racing the track, ladies and gentlemen, and it's fair to say the track is taking prisoners. But right now, let's check in back with the lead. We've got a 5-car pack. It looks like Yanis Theophanopoulos has dropped back 1.4 seconds. Jan Janchik another 1.2 behind him, but the lead pack is indeed going to be getting spicy, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Ian Joyner, Connor Bell, Nieminen, and indeed Martin Visser and Zdeněk Hamak all fighting for the top spot of the podium.
Yeah, this is fantastic, this fight here. Connor Bell, I think, is just backing off a little bit behind Ian Joyner. He doesn't want to jet away with the lead here. And it looks like he's actually made a couple of mistakes there in the final sector. That's going to give Thomas Nieminen the chance to move past him into turn 1, but he's got the outside line, which isn't exactly where you want to be. He'll be hoping to pressure Bell into braking a bit too late and running deep. Bell brakes a tiny bit later, carries more speed through the corner, but gets the rotation nicely. And have a look at that from Martin Visser. He has managed to find some room on the inside there. Try and move past Nieminen, but it's not going to happen easily. Zdeněk Hamak sees the door open for him coming out of NASCAR bend, but not enough momentum to commit into left hook.
Yeah, I thought he was going to make a run for it there. Certainly he did indeed have the exit speed, but right now, this is exactly what Nieminen is not going to want to happen. And yep, that's definitely going to be a slowdown, ladies and gentlemen. You see the yellow flag has been shown next to his name. Nieminen runs wide, and that absolutely costs him massively. That may put him back out of the pack here, as Zdeněk Hamak is going to be applying all of the pressure here to the back of the 137 car, the Dutch driver of Martin Visser. Connor Bell and Ian Joyner already 1.5 seconds away. More slowdowns throughout the field. Philip Falcon picks up a slowdown as well.
That's not ideal, as it looks like Bell's going for it on Joyner, moves past into Oak Tree, but Joyner manages to nail the exit and pass him right back on the way down the straight here. This is a fantastic fight between these two. The more they battle, the more of a chance Visser and Hamak get to regain their spots here. Connor Bell is looking for the opportunity here. How racy does he want to be with Ian Joyner? Straight to the inside for the number 8. And Bell tries the late apex. Hard to get it done out of the hairpin there. Meanwhile, Jan Janchik and Yanis Theophanopoulos fighting. It looks like Janchik just trying to make the move into P5. And Wow, looks like Theophanopoulos yielding to him in the braking zone there. I haven't seen that happen yet on the production feed anyway. Yanchik consolidating P5.
Well, it looks like Philip Falcon has not been able to serve that slowdown quick enough and has now been given a black flag, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that's going to be a drive-through penalty there for the driver of the number 13 car. Absolutely catastrophic there. We saw Ilari Arnio get caught one of them as well. He's now back in 23rd. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to make sure you serve them slowdowns now. As we see Kevin Adrian and Javier Sobrino, certainly wrong. Kevin Adrian is currently in P3 for the club class, ladies and gentlemen. Yan Yanchik and Yanis Theophanopoulos are duking it out, though, further up in the field. P5 overall, and indeed leading the club class.
Yep, Yanchik wants to hold on to this as best he can here, but Theophanopoulos is a real tough customer. And it looks like he's managed to nail the run out of Hogpen, though, as Jan. And now Theophanopoulos will be worrying about Thomas Nieminen, who's trying to make some recovery after the shenanigans on the previous lap. We are done with the first quarter of this race, both of them getting a mammoth slipstream off the back of Yan Yanchik. Look at the pace that they're carrying here. Nieminen boxing Theophanopoulos in somewhat, and he's going to try around the outside. Not quite able to get to the apex there, and he's going to lose out on the exit once more.
Yeah, certainly the spec racer for the draft is absolutely massive. And, that's contact there. Theophanopoulos gets a little bit of a shunt there from Nieminen and it goes off the track. Steve Saunders makes his way by. Rich Mises makes his way by. Kevin Adrian as well. And it looks like Javier Sobrino. Yep, he goes up on the inside. Theophanopoulos absolutely catastrophically falling through the order.
Outside the top 10 now. I get the feeling he tried to turn in for NASCAR Bend, but didn't expect Thomas Nieminen to still be there. Zdenek Hamak, meanwhile, still fighting with Martin Visa for P3, and I said on the formation lap, Hamak has top 3 pace. He's managed to work his way up from 7th to 3rd now, as Connor Bell and Ian Joyner continue scrapping over the lead.
Yeah, certainly, and the good thing about these two guys is they are able to keep battling and are indeed holding off Zdenek Hamak and indeed Martin Visser right behind there. As a yellow flag, yep, that is Yan Yanchik. He's got to slow down. He's got to serve. This is absolute gold here for Nieminen. Don't get me wrong, Yanchik has got a little bit of a gap there to Kevin Adrian, but it's not a lot. It's about 4 seconds between himself and the club class second place of the number 10 driver of Kevin Adrian.
Yanchik is trying his best to clear the slowdown here, but he's under so much pressure. Wow, that's really nicely executed, actually. But Yanchik, unfortunately, runs deep out of the hairpin. And that will likely give it to Nieminen, maybe. Yanchik is going to try and keep it up the inside there, side by side all the way through. And Nieminen had to back out of that one. Yan Yanchik was not willing to give that one up, but it looks like he's having trouble with the rear at the moment.
Yeah, I thought he was going to spin it around just then, and definitely getting a little bit loose there. I think he's fighting so hard to keep Nieminen behind him. Now, don't get me wrong, Reese, I'm not entirely sure if these guys are scored individually or like as classes or if it is indeed overall, but I'm going to say it's probably going to be an overall scenario here. Certainly, we've got to try and figure out exactly who's who in the championship, but I don't know how hard you want to fight. Don't get me wrong, if these guys are scored separately, just let the guy go, take on his draft, and just try and run away with it. But right now, he is absolutely hanging on for dear life to try and keep Nieminen behind him.
Well, watching Yan Yanchik for as long as I have, I know that if there's anything to be sure about with him is he's going to absolutely rag the car. He is going to get as much out of it as he can. He is going to hold on to every position as desperately as he can. But Nieminen has the slipstream, and there's nothing that Yanchik can do about that. He will try to defend into turn 1, and he will be successful. Oh, bit of oversteer on the exit, though. Nieminen can't take advantage. This is turning into quite the defense from Yan Yanchik.
Yeah, he's just got to try and hold it on. Meantime, let's go and check in at the front of the field as well. Connor Bell still going at it here with Ian Joyner. We do have battles happening throughout the field, ladies and gentlemen. There's a good couple. Actually, let's have a quick look back here with Javier Sobrino now. He's managed to catch up to the back of Yanis Theophanopoulos. Certainly Theophanopoulos taking a little bit of a scenic route earlier on. Had a little bit of contact with Nieminen. Can he find his way back past, or is Javier Sobrino going to be too much of a challenge?
We'll have to wait and see on that one. Zoltan Zomotor is briefly showing up as within a second of these two as well. He's trying his best to catch up, and actually looking at Theophanopoulos and Sabrino, they were really getting in each other's way on the last lap. A 2:53 from Theophanopoulos, of course, because he lost that position, but a 2:49 from Sabrino. Zomotor with a 2:47.2, so he made up some great pace there.
Niemanen's picked up a slowdown, ladies and gentlemen, and Yan Cheek has managed to find his way back by. The tables have turned, but it looks like as well, Zdenek Hammock and indeed Martin Visser still exchanging spots. Ian Bell, Connor Joyner still battling it out. Ladies and gentlemen, battles happening throughout the field here at VIR. There's that contact there from Connor Bell. A little bit of a toe poke from the Almeida Racing Academy coach.
Indeed, bit deep there from Connor Bell. I believe Ian Bell is another sim racing developer, so a few wires crossed there, Zippy. But oh dear, that is quite a bit of grass for Connor Bell. He's gotten a slowdown. The coach has gotten a slowdown. No one is safe here.
Certainly VIR is indeed taking a few victims, but right now we're going to go on board here with Steve Saunders. He's caught up to the back here of Rich Meese.
Oh, he's got a slowdown too.
Oh, damn it, Steve. Come on, man.
Just as we went on board with him, he cut the track. Oh, wow. Colton Howard as well. Connor Bell once more. And, well, that's given Ian Joyner a nearly 3-second lead, just as he enjoyed at the end of the previous race. Visser, meanwhile, along with Hamark, have caught up to Connor Bell. So let's see how this one works out between the three of them. We haven't seen Connor Bell have to defend much. He's been the one making the moves. How's this going to work out?
Free wide is exactly how it's going to work out, and this could indeed end badly. Martin Visser very wisely backs out of that. He's going to get a wicked exit speed there. Almost decides to go up on the inside. Thinks better of it. Makes an evasive maneuver here. But one of the things that these guys can do with that draft is you can slingshot the car, not just ahead of you, but the one ahead of them, ladies and gentlemen. You can almost get like a little bit of a double draft going on, and it can be absolutely massive on the slipstream, especially going down the back straight. We saw it demonstrated earlier there. So I think it was Zdenek Hammock who managed to get 2 positions for the price of 1. But can we see the same thing here from Martin Visser as Bell and indeed Zdenek Hammock are trying to pull away?
Yeah, looks like it's going to be difficult for Visser to get too much slipstream from that far back, but all it takes is side by side and he'll be right back in it. Connor Bell makes the move on Zdenek Hammock there, and they just managed to give each other enough room. Hamark's going to try and keep it going up the inside here at the descending corner. And Connor Bell has the inside for Oak Tree. I would imagine he'll move back past, but we've seen this happen before. Around the outside for Hamark. Dips a wheel into the grass and manages to hold it. It's a drag race to the corner that shall not be named. And Martin Visser has a double slipstream to contend with here. Is he going to try and make a move here? Room opens to the outside. They are 3 wide on the way to the corner, and Connor Bell has the inside line. He'll move through to P3 again. Hamark catches the grass. Visser will keep his foot in it, but will he yield? How much do these guys want to stick with Connor Bell? Do they want to fight with each other? Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, certainly that part of the track you really can't. It's not so much that can you push it, it's can you stay held on. Certainly there is not a lot of traction left there as these guys are indeed spicing up. Visser just 0.2 of a second behind, and it looks like we head further back. Niemann and Yan Cheek are still indeed going at it as well. Kevin Adrian, he's got Rich Meese right in his rear mirror as well. Steve Saunders applying pressure here to the back of Yanis Theophanopoulos. Battles everywhere as Mark Schroeder very briefly picks up a slowdown.
Yeah, that he does. Well, Theophanopoulos and Saunders, both drivers that have fallen down a bit from where they started. They'll ideally want a few things to happen ahead of them. And for the moment, Saunders trying his best to consolidate that position in the top 10. He's got a second and a bit behind Zomotor and Sabrino, so I think he's safe there at least. Niemann, meanwhile, it would appear, gaining more on Yan Cheek because a slowdown has happened once again for the 4:45 machine with 6 minutes to go. How did he get it is the question. Well, runs wide on the grass, and That allowed Nieminen by. But it looks to me like that's not going to tell the full story of what happened. Carlton Howard and Mark Schmerder, meanwhile, these two have been keeping each other close company, working their way up the field. They are both up 9 places and having a bit of a profitable race 3 here.
Yeah, certainly are, and indeed, Carlton Howard is actually currently P4 in the club class as well, so this could be a good point haul potentially for him, and definitely some good competition there. But as we check in multiple places, it does look like Connor Bell and indeed Zdeněk Hamák are still going to be going at it. Ian Joyner pulled that gap away to 3.6 seconds. If these guys want to catch up, they are going to have to work together. Now, this has been a very popular discussion, is can you bump draft? Is that the way, or is it indeed better to try and leapfrog? Now, the backstretch here at VIR, there's Connor Bell there. What a slide, getting a little bit of heat in them tires there, but the backstretch just here is indeed you are better to leapfrog. You just have to cooperate if you're going to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Time is running out to make up that gap to Ian Joyner. It is possible to work together in the slipstream around here, but you've really got to plan it out. And I think at this point, they might be thinking, well, Ian's just too far ahead now for us to really catch. We might as well decide this position amongst ourselves.
As you see there, Yanis Fiafanopoulos is still going at it with Steve Saunders. I could have sworn I heard a little bit of contact just then, but right now these two guys are indeed battling to try and find their way up into P9 with Rich Meesters and Kevin Adrian. They've spread out a little bit, actually. They were right nose to tail, and looks like Adrian's been able to pull away about 1.5 seconds.
Kevin Adrian, the hardest charger of the third race here, up 12 places, so very nice to see. It really does perplex me why he ended up starting from pit lane in race 2, because he certainly has the pace to get top 10s just about every single round here. Well, he'll at least get 2 top 10 finishes and the club class win in 1 race, so it's all up in a good night for Kevin Adrian, or a good day, depending on where you are in the world. Hamák versus Bell, with my timing telling me 2 laps to go when they cross the line.
Yeah, certainly. We're at the point now where you got to start to wonder when it's going to be the best time, the best place to make that pass. Certainly, we've seen drag races at the line as Ian Joyner goes and puts in the fastest time of the race for 245.51, as Zdeněk Hamák and indeed Connor Bell are still duking it out here for P2.
Side by side in a NASCAR bend, Bell will have the inside, but Hamák has a chance to do to Bell what Bell has done to many drivers before. Unfortunately, doesn't work out that way. It would appear Hamák slowed up a bit too much to carry the momentum, and he slid a bit wide there through the right-hander, so looks like he's lost touch with Connor Bell in the short term. All it's going to take is a little bit of hard driving and sticking in the slipstream as best you can, nailing your line through these climbing S's. In faster machinery, these are corners that are very fearsome indeed, but in the Spec Racer Ford, you're just guiding your car through them. Philippe Masson, meanwhile, with Carlos Facagna. This number 81 is Facagna has had a bit of an anonymous day so far. He's finished around the 23rd, 22nd area in both races so far. So working out well for him here, up 6 places into 15th. But will the Frenchman decide otherwise?
You see there, it looks like Philippe Masson trying to make a move up on the grass, and he's definitely flirting with the off-tracks there. He's keen, he's motivated. Despite the fact these guys are running the same livery, there is no teams championship this season here in the Almeida Racing Academy. Certainly, these guys work as a team in training, but when the green flag drops, ladies and gentlemen, it is an all-out grudge match to the end. As it looks like Rich Meesters now, yep, himself, Steve Saunders, and I believe that is Yanis Fiafanopoulos as well, are having a freeway fight here for P8.
Very nice fight indeed at the back half of the top 10. Meesters up 7 places and looking desperately for a good result from today's racing. Finished outside the top 10 in both races so far today, despite qualifying 6th for race 1. So he's got a lot to play for here to try and hold on to this one. It looks to me like they are either matching or not quite able to match the pace of Jan Cheek and Adrian up ahead of them. So Not much more to say other than these guys will be fighting amongst themselves for the rest of the race, of which there's only going to be one lap. Ian Joyner coming out of the final corner will get the white flag this time by. So for Jan Jančík and Kevin Adrian, it is crunch time. They have to decide this P6 battle too. Yeah,
well, it's not just that, Reese. It is indeed the battle for the lead of AM. Don't get me wrong, of Club Class, I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, we have multiple series where they have Premier, Club, Pro, AM, and indeed, you know, it gets confusing sometimes, it's fair to say. I can be confused sometimes. But right now, Jan Jančík is going to be very aware of the number 10 car right behind him. These guys, they're definitely going to battle. I've got no doubt about that. I think there is definitely a little bit of spicy history between them. These guys have collided before, and I think Kevin Adrian, he's a more seasoned gentleman. He's pretty cool, calm, and collected. I have a feeling he's going to wait till the very last minute to make the move there on the 445.
Yeah, for sure. He's sizing something up, you can tell. He's nailing the exits here, getting ever closer to Jančík. Hamak and Bell still fighting over second. It looks like Zdenek has managed to get the move done on Connor. And now the move is on for P6 as well. Kevin Adrian hooking in behind Jan Jančík. Will they go side by side through the climbing S's? Looks like they won't. Kevin Adrian is waiting for a clearer opportunity here.
Yeah, I have a feeling he can make a pass there. He can force it around Oak Tree, but then as soon as he goes onto the straight, he's going to be pretty much slipstreamed and passed there by Jan Jančík. They're flirting with the grass. Kevin, behave yourself, sir. That is a dangerous game to play. It looks like Jančík went in a little bit deep there, trying to throw the anchors on, and this is exactly what I'm about. Are we going to see Kevin Adrian slipstream his way ahead? Jančík is very aware the gap, 0.3 of a second as they go down, but we're going to have to leave that on pause for a minute here as the deck Hammock and Connor Bell go side to side. Contact, ladies and gentlemen, in the closing stages of this race.
Cool, Hamak almost hitting Connor Bell off there, but I think there was just enough room between the two cars. They'll be side by side again here, and Hamak is going to maintain second place with some great car placement, but he runs a bit shallow on the exit. Connor Bell, oh, surely not Connor. No, not side by side through here. Good, I think he's listening. Oh, good Lord. What a race between these two. It's been fantastic to watch. Plenty of fantastic battles in this third and final race of the day. But this battle we're looking at is ultimately for second. And there's no catching Ian Joyner at the front of this field. The gap has ballooned out to 5.3 seconds for Ian. And I think this might be the first time we see this season, if we haven't seen it already. Ian Joyner coming across the line is going to win all 3 races of the event and take pole position and fastest lap in all 3 races. That is sheer domination as Connor Bell gives himself a black flag right at the end there. He finishes third on the track, but we'll give Martin Visser the podium in the end, and Jančík ultimately passed by Kevin Adrian somewhere over the course of that final lap. And I wonder what Jan's going to do there. He's going to go for it into the wall, I reckon. That's how Adrian made the move, evidently learning from what Connor Bell's been able to do a few times tonight. Up the inside at Roller Coaster, and that's how it stayed.
Yeah, definitely very aggressive, actually. Kevin, usually cool, calm, and collected, but he was very much... I think that was the plan, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, you see Jančík running a little bit wide there at the end. It looks like Yanis Viafanopoulos did as well, trying to pursue Rich Meesters. But what absolutely fantastic battling here today at VIR. Oh, here you go. Good timing. Atta boy.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, Jan giving us some good demo derby action there after the checkered flag, thankfully. That's going to round things off for the racing portion of the night, it seems. Ian Joyner will get maximum points from this round. All 3 race wins going to the number 8, and that's going to allow him to make up significant ground on Edwin Rivera, who did not get a result in any race here today. So Zdenek Hamak and Martin Visser are your final podium in the end, with Nieminen in 4th. Kevin Adrian and Jan Jančík, the exchange for the club class win, will fall to Adrian there, with Rich Meesters finishing in 7th ahead of Yanis Theophanopoulos, Steve Saunders and Zoltan Zomator rounding out your top 10.
As we have a look there at P11, it was Javier Sabrina with Mark Schmurder right behind in P12. Manfred Floor took 13th with Carlos Pacanha. He's definitely sneaking up a little bit there, able to get a P4 in club, and indeed 14th overall with Philip Masson a little bit further back in 15th. Jax Coetzee definitely had an incident near the end of this race. We didn't broadcast it, but certainly he's there in P16th with Andrzej Swoboda. A little bit off form this week, I've got to admit. Andrzej, we hope to see you back in the pace there and absolutely dominating next week there. He's there in 17th with 18th of Adam Mika, Carlton Howard in 19th, and Philip Falcon taking 20th.
Domenico Sayu was running a little bit higher in this one, but unfortunately falling by the wayside in the late stages, finishes 21st in the end. And he'll be the last car on the lead lap there. Connor Bell class 22nd ahead of Ilariano, who unfortunately had to retire 3 laps from the end. We didn't see Neil England take to the start, and Edwin Rivera retired all the way back in race 1, and we saw no further appearances from him, our championship leader going into this round. What a significant night it was for Ian Joyner, who joins us now. Congratulations, Ian. That is as close to a Grand Chelem as you can get in this particular league. Pole, win, all 3 races. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, of course. It was went really well. I anticipated it not going that well, really, just because the track's so difficult. There's a lot of draft, so many chances to get a slowdown and things go wrong. So surprised, but yeah, obviously happy.
Yeah, it's certainly going to help you out in the championship battle with Edwin Rivera, who was unable to get a result here today. You weren't entirely immune from the chaos, though. Rivera himself getting into the back of you on the way into turn 1, lap 1, race 1. And you really had a great fight with Connor Bell in race 2 as well. So you had to work for it.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly from a pace point of view, just I was never able to just, cruise. I always had to keep hitting the marks. Even in race 2, Thomas put in a super fast lap just towards the end. If he'd done that more often, he'd have been in my draft as well. But it's really treacherous because especially in the centre section, you're fractions away from a slowdown, which puts you, that 1 or 2 second margin you've got is suddenly gone if you hit that. So, it was a tricky track at the best of times, but with that centre section, it's exceptionally difficult. I think it's probably fortunate in most of the races I got a little gap early on. That certainly helped. Also with Connor as well, he got a slowdown, or that would have definitely been a more difficult finish of the race.
Yeah, certainly. This was a brutal round, but you rose above it all, Ian. Maximum points from today, and that'll set you up well going into the remaining rounds of the season. Congratulations again. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Well, that's Ian Joyner there, and Zippy, I understand you've had a chance to catch up with our club winner, Kevin Adrian.
Well, I've got to say, Kevin, what an absolute belter of a result for you today. Don't get me wrong, I know that you're a quick driver, I know that you're a capable driver, but two club class podiums, not just that, 2 club class wins. But we got to ask, what happened to you at the start of race 2?
It was so bad because in the end of the first race, I was getting the slideshow, getting 20 FPS. So I thought, as soon as I finish, I'm going to reset everything. It's a long lap, so I should be able to get back in, but I missed it by like 20 seconds. So had to start from the back again and couldn't get going, had a little bit of damage. But the third race, that was really good. Started in the back, but just kept making my way up and up and up, and had a good little scrap with Jan at the end. And I think I got P7 at the end, so I'm really happy with that.
Well, I can tell you, you actually got P6 in overall, nice. So that's absolutely fantastic. But Kevin, don't get me wrong, I knew that you were a potent driver, but what I do want to hear is, how has the Academy helped develop your driving?
I think it's consistency more than ever. I can always put in a fast lap once in a while, but doing it lap after lap after lap is, I think, the best thing that we get from this Academy. Racing with fast guys all the time, if you're off your race for just one corner or 2 corners, you're already in the back. So consistency is the best part, I think.
Well, certainly, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to have the same success as Kevin Adrian, you're definitely going to need to put in the seat time and indeed become a member of the Almeida Racing Academy. Kevin, a huge congratulations to you. I'm looking forward to seeing how that has the effect there on the championship standings. But what an absolute belter of a day for you.
Yeah, it was fun. Always great to race with these guys. Lots of fast guys. Learn lots from them. And thanks to you guys for putting the show on. It's always a treat to watch it afterwards and all your great commentary.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kevin Adrian, driver of the number 10, and indeed a two-time, for at least today, a two-time club class winner and P6 overall in the final race. Congratulations, Kevin.
Thanks a lot. See you guys around.
Well, that's going to bring us through to Zdenek Hamak, who got a double podium tonight. Zdenek, I think you should be very happy with your results there today. Things got a bit leery for you from time to time. You were right in the thick of the action going for those moves. Turned out to be a difficult track to pass on at times, but you made it work. And it would appear that we unfortunately do not have Zdenek Hamak with us. Oh no, there we are, Zdenek.
Yeah.
Do you have us?
Hello, yeah, I hear you. Sorry, I have muted my microphone. It's okay. Yeah, I was happy with the results. Not too much with my driving because I hit every slowdown on this track, I think, and it's very hard to get back. And yeah, it's not easy to overtake. There is a big slipstream, but hard corners to overtake because you get next to the car and next corners are on the opposite side, on opposite turn. So it's very hard to keep and get to the front. Yeah.
Yeah, the track itself, I think, was a big aspect of the action tonight. It's the longest circuit that we go to this season. It's almost like a mini Nürburgring. You must have put a lot of effort into just learning where the place goes, because I'm sure, like most drivers, you're familiar with the main layout of VIR, but you throw the infield in, and it becomes a completely different beast.
Yeah, it's very long and different track, but I know this layout from, I think, Toyota GR86. He drive there, and it was crazy with this car too, so I know this layout, know the corners, so it's not too hard for me to learn it, just to get used to this car with this layout and these bumps or hills and elevation changes in these corners, because it's happened that upset change the car and to get you. It's easy to get the slip on the hills. So yeah.
Well, manage the slip you did, and you managed to get 2 podiums here today. So a great haul of points coming out of VIR. Congratulations, and hopefully we're chatting to you again next week.
Okay, thank you, and bye bye.
That was Zdenek Hamak from Czechia there, who closes out our interviews for today, Zippy. Another great round of the Almeida Racing League. VIR always turns it up, but for the first broadcast I've seen on this grand layout, it was certainly a treat.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Certainly, that infield section, I feel sympathy for him. It is so challenging to go through that, especially on the limited grip like these guys do. And indeed, if you want to be able to do that, you've got to be part of the Academy, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong, we're about halfway through this season now, but there is indeed going to be more to come in the future. And if you want to see it here, you're going to have to be watching on Pit Road Productions or indeed on Swilio Almeida's channel as well. But, Breeze, if you'd like to do the honor, sir, let's bring this show to a close.
Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in on the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel and Swelio Almeida's channel as well. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to catch us same time next week for the next round of the championship. It's going to be, as Zippy says, an absolute belter. I'm Reese Gardner, Zippy alongside me in the commentary box and also producing behind the scenes here on Pit Road Productions. We'll see you again next time.
If you're a racing driver and you want to reach an advanced level, there's a faster and easier way to become competitive. I've gone from this to this in 5 years. Now, we've created the perfect free driver development guide to help you understand the right order of racing skills to develop if you want to become a competitive driver as quickly as possible. This guide was made after 3,000 hours of combined high-level coaching.